Bill, do you regret what you did?
Was you there? How can you say something if you wasn't there?
A Texas death row inmate, once described as having a heart full of scorpions, faces execution.
Billie Wayne Coble is condemned to die by lethal injection.
Are you frightened?
He's a cold-blooded killer, and he deserves to die.
And I've been granted Billie's last interview.
His life hangs by a thread.
I'll be with his friends and family, and the victims of his brutal crime.
Can't feel sorry for somebody like that.
As they prepare for Billie's final hours.
Nellie, what's happening?
In the countdown to his execution.
Obviously something went terribly wrong in there for the Coble family. Excuse me, sir, has the execution gone ahead?
Good Saturday to you, Central Texas. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. It's definitely been a little warmer today than it has been. Our temperature's in the middle 80s and Waco at 86 right now.
The death penalty is legal in 29 states across the US, and around half of all Americans are in favor of it.
Texas is the execution heart of America. More people are put to death here than in any other state, which is why I'm here to talk to those prisoners who are fighting for their lives and to the people who want them to die. I'm going to be meeting Bill Coble, whose execution date is set for next week. And barring a last-minute stay of execution, he knows that he faces a lethal injection of drugs. And I just wonder, what is it like knowing you're about to die in a week's time?
Billie Coble slayed 3 innocent members of the same family in 1989 and has been languishing on death row ever since. He's being held here at the infamous death row penitentiary in Livingston, Texas, alongside the other 212 men the state has condemned to die.
Ain't no good light here below death row.
70-year-old Billie is fighting for a last-minute stay of execution.
Well, they want to do a shot of her walking up.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that walking up too.
If it fails, in just 8 days, he'll be the oldest man to be put to death in Texas for 100 years.
Lord, I get in trouble with that.
Hi, Bill. I'm Susanna.
All right. You definitely have an English accent.
I definitely have an English accent, yeah. Bill, do you count the number of days, months, and years that you've been here?
About 29 years.
Are you frightened about next week?
Well, death is death. A person said one time, he said, that's a horrible way of dying. I said, what is a good way? Could you tell me what a good way is to die? I have known probably about 400 people that's been executed, and I remember every one of them. The longer you live, the easier it is to accept death. Who is not going to leave this world? Aren't we all?
You're absolutely right, but not many of us know when or how, and you know those two facts. But do you still hope that there might be some last-minute stay of execution for you?
I don't have the luxury or the desire to give it any thought. I mean, I have to live for this moment.
When you reflect now on the reason that you've spent almost 30 years here on death row, it was for an act of extreme violence. Do you regret what you did that day? Do you understand and feel the horror of what happened?
Was you there? Well, then why do you speak? Because it's the truth.
What happened?
You say,
what happened?
You say, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, How can you say something if you wasn't there?
But Bill, you accept that you're guilty of those murders, don't you?
I accepted I did the murders, yes. I accepted that I'm here for those murders, yes.
Relatives say the motive was revenge. A 40-year-old man out on bond went on a shooting rampage, killing 3 of his in-laws.
On the 29th of August 1989, Billie Coble drove to the small town of Axtell in central Texas. He was on the hunt for his estranged wife, Karen Vicker, who was threatening to divorce him. When Billie arrived at Karen's, she wasn't home. Instead, he would end up killing her brother, father, and mother.
The bloody night came to a violent end when the suspect crashed his car some 60 miles away. He's in custody, and murder charges are pending.
At the time of the murders, the Vicker family lived on the same street.
Hi, JR,
Hello.
Susanna.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
JR, Karen's nephew, was 11 at the time of the vicious attack.
Tell me what happened that day.
Myself and my cousin, who's around the same age as me, Heather, we were on the school bus. And I didn't get off the bus at my house because I knew my dad would be at work. So I got off the bus and went to my aunt's house. And I remember going in the house and Bill was there, you know, in the house waiting.
So you went into the house, said hi to Bill. What happened next?
He used some rope or something and tied us all to the bedpost, like with our hands behind our back. And then he put duct tape on our mouths.
Were you scared?
You know, I guess at that age, your mind doesn't go to those places because you don't think that stuff happens.
Now Billie left the children tied up and headed off to ambush and kill Bobby Vicker, JR's father. Judge Ralph Struther was the prosecutor at Billie Coble's trial.
Bobby had been a Waco police officer, and he'd gotten off work that day and had gotten home and was working around his ranch. And Billie Wayne Coble caught Bobby out in the open there and was able to wrestle his service revolver away from him, put it right under his neck, and practically decapitated him when he shot him.
Bill shot and killed your dad that day, and then came back to the house where you were all tied up, all the children were tied up.
Right.
Did you notice anything about him at that point that was different?
I remember he kept kind of bragging about how he was going to be on America's Most Wanted. Yeah, I guess a sociopath is what you'd call it, narcissistic.
By this time, JR's father and grandfather were already dead, but Billie wasn't finished. He went back across the street to the home of JR's grandmother, Zelda.
He waited until Mrs. Vicker had come home from work, and he gunned her down, ambushed her right there. She never knew what happened.
Having savagely murdered 3 members of JR's family, Billie set his sights on his estranged wife, Karen, kidnapping her in his car. After a police chase, they crashed and Billie was finally caught. Against the odds, both Billie and Karen survived.
As you look ahead to the date when he may be executed, what goes through your mind?
It will be good to have it over with. We don't feel sorry for him at all. You know, he was, even after the wreck, you know, he was bragging at the hospital to the nurses. Do you know I just killed 3 people?
They tell you I killed 3 people? Huh? You're quiet. I would have never believed I'd do that either. See, y'all just shocked his argument.
Why do you think he would say that?
Had no idea, no.
And he didn't seem to be affected by the fact that he'd just killed your father.
No, he didn't, you know, no. I mean, can't feel sorry for somebody like that.
I've dealt with the criminal justice system for 40 years, and the Coble case was one of the most brutal of any I've ever handled. Frankly, he's a cold-blooded killer. He's evil, and he deserves to die.
Hi, good. Can I prepay for pump 9, please?
Yes, ma'am. How much would you like?
$20?
Okay.
I'm in Huntsville, Texas, a small rural town that's home to America's busiest execution chamber.
How long have you lived in Huntsville?
All my life.
How does it affect Huntsville that it's not just prisons which are here, but you have the whole death chamber?
I don't think the normal citizen of Huntsville pays that much attention to it, really. It's just kind of, life goes on.
Since the death penalty was reintroduced in 1976, the state of Texas has executed 559 people, and Billie Wayne Coble is set to be next in just 6 days.
Billie Wayne Coble, at age 70, is scheduled to become the oldest man executed in Texas during the modern era of the death penalty.
The murders of Waco police officer Bobby Vicka and his 2 parents rocked the Central Texas community.
In the short time left, those affected by this case are still asking why, on the 29th of August 1989, a day that seemed like any other, Billy ruthlessly murdered his 3 in-laws and then kidnapped his estranged wife, Karen Vicka.
I feel like there are so many unanswered questions about what happened. Do you want to just tell me, Bill, what happened that day?
No. To you, it matters. To some people, it matters. To me, it really no longer matters.
Did you love your wife, Karen?
We all have emotions, and there's many different things can arouse our emotions. A beautiful flower can arouse your emotions.
Did you love her, though?
I met my Karen when she was about 16, 17 years old. Didn't see her again until she was probably about 34 years old.
Were you angry that she didn't want to be with you anymore?
It's amazing. That was never said before, but it was always said afterwards. But she never said it before.
She never said what before?
You just said she didn't want to be with me no more. That ain't what she said before.
Karen was Billy's 3rd wife, and they married in 1988. Karen worked at a jewelry store and Billy at a local drive-in movie theatre. After less than a year of marriage, Karen asked for a divorce, the alleged trigger for the gruesome crimes against the Vicka family.
Were you aware of the tension between Billy and Karen?
People were being a little different, but I didn't know why, and I didn't think too much of it.
What did you think about Billy? What kind of a man was he?
Well, he and my aunt were married for less than a year, so wasn't around him that much. But from what I saw of him, I never had any problems with him. Of course, now I know that was kind of an act.
There has to be an explanation for what he did.
It wasn't just a situation where somebody snaps and does something out of character. I mean, this wasn't like a heat of passion type crime. Like, he planned it. He had gone shopping, bought supplies, he built a silencer for his gun. Mm-hmm. This was, premeditated.
Do you feel that what you had that day was some kind of rage that you couldn't control?
You want to keep going back to that moment, but...
But these were 3 people that you knew and had affection for. Do you feel bad about what you did?
Well, I feel bad about what I did and what the world's done. I feel bad about a lot of things.
I'm not talking about other things. I'm talking about the murder of Bobby and his parents.
Yes, I feel bad that circumstances got to a point where they shouldn't have gotten. I feel bad about killing the first person I killed in Vietnam. I see them just as vividly, just as clear as I did the day that it happened. But I can never go back and change that.
Billy's 4 years of service in the Vietnam War were mentioned in his first trial, but no link was established between this and the lingering psychiatric issues he experienced on his return home. Now, Billy's lawyer is appealing for a last-minute stay of execution on the basis Billy suffers from post-traumatic stress syndrome. Billy served in Vietnam at the same time as his best friend, James Steele.
Billy was in the Marines, and most of the Marines had it pretty rough. And you're young and scared to death and not knowing what's going to happen.
When the war ended in 1975, the number of men in the American prison system with a military background rose sharply. It peaked in 1985, when more than 1 in 5 inmates was a veteran.
He could have had a flashback from Vietnam. I don't know. But knowing Billy, like I knew him, something bad had to happen for him to do what he did. Because Billie Wayne wasn't that type person.
What do you think now about Bill?
I really don't know how to describe it. Just a horrible person, to do something like this. There are thousands of people that have shot people in war and don't do stuff like this. I don't buy that as an excuse. I think that's just a legal tactic.
But what of Billy's younger life? Billy's father died when he was only 3 months old. His mother was mentally ill and was removed to an institution when Billy was 7. He spent the rest of his childhood in a care home alongside James.
I'm pretty sure Billy missed out on love when he was a child. When your parents ain't there and they don't want you, that'll work on your head.
With his first wife, Billy had a son, Gordon.
Billie Wayne wanted to be a daddy, a good daddy. And he was. He coached kids in baseball and, just do what fathers should do. Spend time with their kids.
When my son was younger, no matter where I was, no matter what I was doing, I would like to have my son with me. I tried to always make sure that he knew that I always loved him, I always wanted to be with him, and I wanted him to be the best he could be.
How is it when you see your son Gordon? It must be emotional for you both.
It's probably much harder on him, having to cope with this.
And you caught Daddy, first lick, right on.
I'm trying to understand how a man who claims to adore his child could also slaughter 3 innocent people.
Get a good snap.
Billy's son Gordon was 14 at the time of the murders. He's now married with 2 grown sons of his own.
When all that happened with my father, it was hard times. A lot of people didn't realize that, things they say and words they say that can really affect people. There's no winners in any of this.
Gordon's sons have grown up only seeing their grandfather behind bars.
We'd put our hands up to the glass, and then that's how we say hi and then bye. But I wish I could hug him. I wish I could do a lot of things with him, but I can't.
There's now just days until Billie Coble faces death by lethal injection. And Gordon only has 2 more chances to spend time with his father.
It's not gonna be easy. but it ain't nothing I can't handle. I've been through so much more that take it square on the chin and face it head on, I guess. But I know it's definitely hard to sit there and watch your father be put to death. I don't wish that on nobody. No one should have to go through that.
Hello. What can I get you?
Can we get some tea?
I have sweet tea. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll have a sweet tea.
Okay.
It's lovely.
Here you go.
That's a lot of sweet tea. Thank you.
Texas size.
I'm on the outskirts of Huntsville, Texas, a place that holds an average of 1 execution a month.
What do you think about Huntsville being the death penalty capital of America?
I'm okay with it, honestly. I do support lethal injection.
I suppose supporting it is one thing. It actually taking place just 15 minutes away is kind of, for me, that's a slightly chilling thought that it happens so close. And if you're directly connected to the case, I mean, that's a horrible thought, isn't it, there, but for the grace of God?
Well, that's probably why I support the death penalty, is because I had it happen in my family. They were brutally murdered, stabbed over 20 times. And it was a regular customer at a convenience store who came in every day and ordered a cup of coffee, and she gave it to him, and he just lost it one day. If you've taken a life without reason, then it's wrong.
It's a very odd thought that Billie Coble will be put to death nearby. For Billie Coble's family and the family of his victims, it's life-changing. And yet it's just part of the fabric of the life of this death chamber town.
Huntsville is a fairly typical college town, except over a quarter of its residents are behind bars, and Huntsville's 7 prisons are the lifeblood as the area's biggest employer.
That's the Walls unit, and that's where the death chamber is. Right there.
Billie will die in this prison that sits just off the town's main street.
And it's a really chilling feeling knowing what happens there and what's about to happen there.
He'll wait out his final hours in a small, bleak cell known as the Death House, just feet from the chamber. From 1924, the state used this electric chair for its executions. Nicknamed Old Sparky, it was built by prison workers and killed 361 inmates during its 40 years of use. Now, Texas uses lethal injection, widely considered to be more humane. A representative of the state witnesses every execution. Robert Hurst has seen around 40.
Once he's got to the Huntsville unit, what will happen to Bill then?
A team of our security officers will escort him to the execution chamber. He is then placed on the gurney, tied down, and the intravenous line is placed into his arm, and he is prepared for the lethal injection.
And then who administers the injection?
There is a team behind a one-way window mirror. They're the team that administers the injection.
Most states use a 3-drug cocktail in their executions, but after a nationwide shortage in 2012, Texas switched to a single-dose method. Now they use the sedative pentobarbital. The state currently has 10 doses stockpiled, and Billie will be injected with one of them.
How long will it take for Bill to die after the injection is administered?
I've seen some executions where an offender is pronounced dead within about 10 to 12 minutes. I've also seen some executions where the offender is not pronounced dead until sometimes 35, 40 minutes later.
The further we fall when we crash down.
As the state prepares for Billie Coble's execution, life around here carries on as usual.
So how would you describe execution day here in Huntsville?
It's a normal day.
And what's your opinion on the death penalty? Is it something you support?
Absolutely, yes.
The death penalty is expensive. Longer trials and increased legal fees cost taxpayers here an average of $2.3 million per case, around 3 times more than housing an inmate in prison for 40 years.
This town has been a prison town for years and years, and the people here knows what happens, and you know, it doesn't really have an effect on the day-to-day life here, no.
Doesn't make you feel uncomfortable?
Does not.
Just another day?
Well, you know, you do the crime, you pay.
Life held my head up along the way.
Before it happened to Billy, I really didn't think about the death penalty. Period. But it's different when it's somebody you know, somebody you love. It makes you think. And now I can see both sides of it.
Knocking me down.
Billie Coble waited for his death date for 28 years. That's almost double the national average. He spent the past decade living in solitary confinement, 22 hours a day, 7 days a week.
People treat the dogs better than that. Could you imagine living in an 8x10 cage the rest of your life? He said the only time he touched human hands is when they handcuffed him. Now, that ain't right.
But many feel the rights that really matter in this case are those of the victim's family. And Billie's execution will be justice for the Vickers. Billie's son Gordon, daughter-in-law Nellie, and their 2 sons are facing the reality that unless his appeal for a stay of execution is successful, these next few days will be Billie's last.
You went to see Bill this morning, and it's obviously extremely distressing.
Yes, very.
Particularly for Gordon.
Yes.
How are you going to get through the next few days?
I just try to be there for them all, you know, especially the boys, because that's their grandpa.
It's a jumble of emotions you're feeling, of course it is.
I'm completely lost within myself. How would anybody expect me to sit there and watch somebody take my dad's life without wanting to just tear a wall, pull him down and help him? He's done wrong, and I understand that. And I'm not excusing that one bit. My father knows that was wrong. I let him live out his days in the prison cell. To me, that don't make a lick of sense to take another life.
You're going through your own kind of hell now, though, aren't you?
One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I just hope I can be strong for him, be there for him, and pray every day that that phone call comes and gets to stay.
And I've worked on every cell block now, and things are going good. But then they transferred me to LSU.
My head's absolutely spinning. I feel enormous sympathy for the family. None of them are responsible for the crimes of their father, their grandfather, and yet they're experiencing the effects of those crimes. None of this changes the fact that on that dreadful August day in 1989, Bill Coble took a gun and went and murdered Bobby Vicker, and his estranged wife's parents. They're the innocent victims in this horror story. And their trauma has lasted 30 years.
A Texas death row inmate once described as having a heart full of scorpions faces execution.
The Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles denied requests yesterday to delay his execution. Coble is set to be executed tomorrow.
The state of Texas has refused to delay Billie Wayne Coble's execution. Now his last and final hope is the Supreme Court, and their verdict won't be reached until the 11th hour.
I don't know what to think. You seem to have it under control in your own head. You don't seem to be frightened.
No, there's no reason to be. If I take the next step or not, I have no... My lawyer's in California and I have no way of talking, so I don't know what's going on between now and then. But if I'm here on March the 1st, then I will try to be a better person.
And if the Vicker family expected an apology from you before you're executed?
Okay, if you want me to give some type of like a rehearsed apology or something, I mean, I've already said that I regret what happened. Now, I truly regret what happened, but I also truly regret what happened to a lot of things in life.
But you don't want to take this opportunity to say sorry to the victims?
But saying it to you is not saying it to a victim. Saying it to you, I'm really speaking to the people you're going to be showing this to. How would that help them? What if they never see the interview?
How do you want to be remembered, Bill?
I've never thought of it. It really doesn't matter to me personally, because if I'm dead, I'm with God, and it's not going to concern me anymore. You understand? I mean, I'm not going to be here.
And what do you feel about your son being there to witness your last moments?
I want him to be there for himself. But to me, no, I really just send nobody to be there. I mean, you know, it just, you have to remember the person, not the body.
Bill, we're out of time. Well, thank you very much for talking to us. Well, thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome.
Oh, death, have mercy. Oh, death, have mercy.
Billie Wayne Coble will have woken up this morning knowing that it's his last day. And right now is the last chance for Gordon to spend a few hours with his dad. They have a final hope resting with the US Supreme Court, who could issue a stay of execution right up to the last minute.
So they can be closer to him, Billie's family are spending time at the Hospitality House, a charity for families of the incarcerated.
How you doing?
I'm hoping for the best for me. It's just real hard. A lot of emotions, a lot of hope, a lot of ups and downs. It's just all over the place.
What did your dad say to you this morning?
Told me he loved me. We had a good visit. We laughed and talked and remembered those times.
At 17, Hunter is too young to be present tonight.
Did you see your granddad today?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you able to talk with him about?
He wished he wasn't locked up in there and that we could get in a truck with them and just drive away and have fun.
You still hopeful that there might be a stay before it's carried out this evening?
Hopefully there is.
Are you prepared if that doesn't happen?
Not really. But if it happens, it happens, and we just gotta live through it.
What was it like at the moment that the guards told you that the visit was over?
It's gonna be okay. I promise you it'll be okay.
Well, whatever you think about what Gordon's father has done, it is impossible not to feel compassion for Gordon and his family.
By noon, Billy's final visits with friends and family are over. He is now being prepared to be transported the 40 miles west from Livingston to the Walls Unit prison.
Executing people does not solve crime.
I'm right outside the Walls Unit, and a crowd is gathering in anticipation of tonight's event.
Once again, Texas will commit murder behind these red brick walls. Tonight's execution will be number 5.
So this is where it could all end for Billie Coble. His life hangs by a thread, but he has one last hope today, that the US Supreme Court will grant a stay of execution. It's just a couple of hours until the scheduled execution. What happens in the next 2 hours?
Well, for the next 2 hours, the offender, who is here in the holding cell behind me, has the opportunity to talk on the phone with folks, meet with attorneys. Sometime in the next 15-ish minutes or so, he'll be served final meal, which is actually just whatever it is that's on the menu for today at this unit. We're in constant communication with the courts and the governor's office. At some point, once we receive the sign-off that all the appeals have been exhausted, then the process would begin. The death warrant's active at 6 p.m.
It's just coming up to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the US Supreme Court has just posted on their website the application for stay of execution of sentence of death is denied. That was Billie Coble's last chance, and it's gone, which means he will be executed in just over an hour's time.
A group of Waco police officers and veterans have come to salute the family of their murdered colleague, Bobby Vicker.
What is significant for you about Bill being executed? What will it bring for you?
First of all, I think he deserves it. I think it's very important that he doesn't get to choose how he dies, because my grandparents and my dad didn't. He took that away from them. So I think he should go through the same mental anguish knowing that he's about to die. I hope he's going through that right now.
To Billie's family and friends, we are out here protesting.
Time has now run out for Billie Wayne. The Coble family are called in for his final moments. By 6 p.m, the death warrant is active. Between now and midnight, Billie Coble is set to die.
It's an incredibly unsettling feeling knowing that the execution is going ahead right now, and someone that I've met, someone that I've had an encounter with, is being put to their death.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves.
Quite a bit of drama here in Huntsville at the last minute in the execution of Billie Coble. We'll get back to you with more on that as soon as we know more.
The lethal injection of pentobarbital should now be taking effect.
What's happening? What's happening?
This is what they did to me. They kicked me in the head and beat me up.
They got me in fucking cuffs, they kicked me in the head. I'm fucking sick of this shit.
Excuse me, sir, has the execution gone ahead?
Yes.
Okay. We don't know what happened inside, but clearly there's been some kind of confrontation. Gordon and his son Dalton have been handcuffed and led away, shouting, screaming, extremely distressed, and Nellie also in handcuffs.
Drug him like he was a fucking piece of trash.
Nellie, what's happened?
Drug him. Drug my kid by the back. Drug Gordon with the hoodie. This is crazy bullshit.
We knew that Gordon was finding it very hard anticipating the execution of his father, but I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, something went terribly wrong in there for the Coble family.
The state of Texas has executed Billie Coble, inmate number 976. He did provide a final statement. Yes, sir, that will be $5. I love you, and I love you. Take care. Any questions?
Why was Gordon led away?
There was a disturbance. Gordon Coble started banging on the glass and had to be removed. I can share with you that both Gordon and Dalton Coble are currently in custody at the Walker County Jail and will be charged with resisting arrest and potentially other charges.
Coble met his fate by lethal injection, pronounced dead at 6:24 p.m. Karen Vicka was inside to witness Billie Wayne Coble take his last breath.
We ask that just as you have kept us in your prayers, you pray for peace for everyone affected today. While we grieve the amazing lives that were lost too soon, we find joy in the blessings and love we have in our family.
Nellie, it's Susanna. What's happening?
I mean, damn, his dad just got executed. What do you expect him to do?
There's an air of it's all come to an end. I'm not sure whether the Vicka family feel closure. The Coble family clearly in great distress. And for Huntsville, the Walls unit closes its doors and it's on with another day. The execution of one man, the ending of his life, just a fact of life here. And there'll be another one next month.
What were all those dreams we shared those many years ago?
They brought Billy from Livingston to the death chamber, and I talked to him a good hour on the phone. And it was just like talking to him like we'd been talking every day. He didn't show no fear, no change in his voice or nothing. And he said, you may not understand this, but I'm at peace and I'm happy. And now more after I think about it, the way he was caged up like that, I can understand. He was probably ready to go.
Slide on next to me.
I'll always love him, whatever he did.
But just the same, this is not me. You see, believe I'm better than this, don't leave.
What you've been through must have affected your whole life, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course that changes the trajectory of your life. I lived with my dad and next to my grandparents.
What do you plan to do afterwards?
We're just going to the casino in Oklahoma. And we're all just gonna hang out and relax. Just do something together.
And celebrate a little bit, you think?
Yeah.
Which is must be an odd feeling because you're celebrating a death.
Maybe it's just knowing that it's finally over. Maybe we'll all feel a little better afterwards. You know, it doesn't change what happened. But knowing that he finally got what he deserves, you know, that would be a good feeling.